I hear the footsteps in the mud, reach for my bow, come to full draw. Next thing I know, I'm eye to eye with a public land giant. This is the hunt for the kicker buck. Hunting western North Dakota, big rolling bluffs that kind of roll down into river bottom, willows and sandbars and islands, hunting public land. My strategy is always to kind of do stuff a little different than everybody else. A lot of people are hanging cameras on food plots or fields or fence lines. I'm trying to get back in where there's mud, sandbars, mosquitoes, hard to access places, willow bars, just trying to find spots that kind of get overlooked or that are too difficult to access. Over the years, I've been really fortunate to be able to harvest some great public land deer in western North Dakota and eastern Montana by just hunting different than everybody else. You know, I always try to think outside the box, deployed some strategies that I've learned from watching other fellow hunters, kind of the bump and run tactics where you find a big buck's bedding area, you bump them out of there, you hang and bang, always trying to do stuff differently than everybody else. A lot of the spots that I hunt, I got to access either through water or sandbars or mud. So I have several different boats. I have a 12-foot flat bottom boat, 14-foot flat bottom boat, an 18-foot jet boat, and a couple pairs of beat up waders and rubber boots where, you know, sometimes it's water chest deep that you're trudging through to try to get back to some of these islands and hard to access spots. But for me, it's allowed me to hunt some areas that are less pressured and find some deer that just haven't been chased by the general public. So this particular spot I've hunted for the last several years, ran a lot of trail cameras. We've kind of battled EHD in this area. So for a few years I didn't hunt this area real hard, still ran cameras. Had a lot of what I considered to be great up-and-comers, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds that I wanted to kind of see make it for a few extra years and see what they would turn into. This particular buck, I had pictures of him as, you know, what I figured a 4.5-year-old deer, but I wanted him to have one more year. He had a great frame on him. I just thought he had the type of frame that could kind of blow up the year after. So I elected not to hunt a whole lot in 2023 in this particular spot. And that paid off huge when I started getting pictures of him early 2024 throughout the summer months, as this deer really blew up and vaulted to the top of my hit list for this upcoming season. So I've been utilizing trail cameras, specifically Tacticams, try to, you know, locate this buck's core area. And now as we roll into 2024, I'm kind of going all in this summer, getting a whole string of Tacticams put out, trying to cover every entrance and exit route to this particular bedding area. And I'm starting to put the pieces together for this buck, feeling really good about my chances to narrow down his travel patterns and hopefully get a crack at him come season.
I'm excited to introduce a brand new Deer Society video series called The Art of Deer Hunting. Now within this series we have categories such as the art of calling, the art of food plots, the art of scent control. We're going to detail and break down all things in these categories plus more, from trail cameras, stands, scrapes, all things related to successful deer hunting is what this series is all about. This series is a culmination of all the information we've received internally from some of the best deer hunters across the country and the methods they've used to successfully harvest mature whitetails year after year. This is called The Art of Deer Hunting on the Deer Society YouTube channel.
The bedding area for these deer, it's island type material. A lot of willows, a lot of sandbar type access, thick nasty brush. There's no trees that are accessible to hunt out there. It's too thick to ground hunt on the island itself. So I'm hunting basically the travel pattern from these islands out to the ag fields that are private. So I'm just kind of sandwiched right in the middle. Hunting basically right on water crossings. There was a little bit of a beaver dam there where a lot of these deer were crossing. This buck in particular liked that spot a lot. Hard to access spots, a lot of walking or boat access to get in there, but that's where the deer are and that's where I gotta be. He starts to slowly develop a pattern towards the end of August, And morning and evening both, this deer was more patternable than any other deer on the island. He was consistently using that trail, and I felt really good about the intel I was gathering. He was daylighting quite a bit, season's approaching, and he's still using that trail, so it's just a matter of time before I get down there and try to make a move on him. It's about a week before season now. There's nowhere to put a tree stand or a ground blind. So I get down there, I bring a shovel and a saw, I cut a hole in the willows up on this little bank, and I'm kind of thinking my best bet is to kill him in the morning. That's when he's daylighting the most. So I set up my little homemade makeshift ground blind, dug in a chair, and the trail that he was using, I knew if he used that trail, by the time he was in my shooting lane, he would already be past me and kind of quartering away. So it'd allow me the opportunity to draw back without getting busted. The best part about this spot was I was able to access it from the north, and the deer are all traveling from east to west or west to east. So it allowed me to kind of slip in and out of there without walking up and down their trails. And the trail that he liked the best was kind of on the north end of this island, and that's where my primary access was. So that allowed me to slip into my little makeshift ground blind and get set up without ever having to cross any of the trails that he was utilizing. Everything's prepared, the stage is set. Now I'm kind of watching the weather app, making sure that I have a decent wind. We're a few days into season now. Things went all right at work. I was able to leave a little early finally. I get down to the access, start hiking in. It's a beautiful morning. It's actually a little warm. Bugs aren't too bad. A little bit of fog along the island, and I get nestled into my little makeshift ground blind, and now it's just a matter of time. The ground blind that I had set up was kind of primarily designed for either a south or a west wind. The only wind I couldn't really make was a north wind. The morning that I snuck in there, the wind was supposed to be slightly out of the southwest, but very, very little wind. So I was a little bit concerned that maybe on the ground, being as close as I was to that trail, that there would be some swirling winds. I'm sitting there, everything's eerily quiet, and then all of a sudden, I can hear something walking along the edge of the bank. I had this feeling that it was the kicker buck. I couldn't see it. I could hear the deer drinking. It seemed like forever until this deer came walking out into my shooting lane. I was already at full draw. I knew that if it was gonna happen, it was gonna happen quick.
We just smoked him. He's laying dead right there. First set of the year. Oh, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Holy crap, North Dakota public land. September 3rd, my first sit this year. We freaking crushed our target buck, baby. Oh my gosh, you guys.
Look what we killed. What a frickin' stud. Oh my gosh. This was definitely our target buck and the buck that was the most active down here. Big flyer off this side. He shed his velvet before season came in. His antlers are still really dark. Traces of velvet on there. Super, super cool. Awesome character. And just a stud of a deer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 scoreable points. Freaking awesome. Golly. We did it, baby. Public land in North Dakota, September the 3rd. And we crushed our target buck. Jeez, what an awesome deer. So much character. Such a gorgeous buck. Thank you, God. First key to this hunt was access. So I'm always looking for areas that are really difficult to access because that's going to cut out a lot of the people who don't want to put the work in. Second key to this hunt was trail cameras. A lot of the spots that I hunt are an hour to 2 hours away from my house. So I can't get out there and pull cards and do stuff like that all the time. So these cameras I like to get set out early, get them in spots where I'm covering a bunch of different trails so I can kind of figure out where the core travel patterns are for these bigger bucks. So when I'm talking about depth when it comes to trail cameras, kind of what I mean by that is if I'm looking at the bedding and the feeding source, I'm cutting a line perfectly in half, like between those two areas, and I'm getting cameras set up at that depth. And this does two things. It minimizes putting cameras on the same trail, whether that's closer to the food source and one closer to the bedding area. I don't want to have cameras on duplicate trails. Finally, key number 3 to this hunt was my setup. The trail that I was hunting this deer on that he kind of called his favorite, he was utilizing this trail quite a bit. My access was from the north, so I wanted to build my blind on the north side of his trail so I never had to physically cross the trail that he was utilizing. I had to adapt. I didn't have any trees that I was able to find that I could put a tree stand in, and I didn't want to get out onto the island where he was bedding at, again, to try to minimize the intrusion. So I had to kind of adapt a little bit, make a hole in this willow bar, and I was able to dig in a chair. So when I was set up and ready to go, I was at full draw before this deer even had a clue I was there.
Thanks for watching this Deer Society Hunt Breakdown. Subscribe to the channel for more great educational content to help you become a better hunter, from podcasts to the Art of Deer Hunting series, hunt breakdowns, tips, tactics, and a whole lot more. The Deer Society is all about deer hunting education.